Hey folks, welcome back here to the Biggest Don channel. We're here on the east side of town, just after sunset, heading west towards downtown here on Stewart Avenue. There is a huge cloud out there. Yeah, it's coming out in the video. Huge cloud up over the west side of town. I don't know if it's raining out there. There was no rain in the forecast for the rest of the evening this evening, so I'm guessing not, but it looks pretty high and tall there. It's interesting. It's been a very windy day here. The wind's at like 27 miles an hour. We're under a high wind warning right now, so it's not a good day for high-profile vehicles for sure. And what's interesting is every time this happens with the winds, they always say that the air quality is in the low range of the moderate range, or the low end of the moderate range. There we go. So like today, with 27 mile an hour winds blowing desert sand and dirt and dust all over the place, it said it was, the air quality was 62. I don't know that I believe that. That sounds a little bit sus to me, as the kids say nowadays, or suspect. They don't want to scare the tourists away. Went through that growing up in Florida. We always, all of us, we all kind of just theorized, right? Because it never seemed to get above like 90 or 91 or 92 degrees down there in the summertime. And we're always like, man, it's way hotter out here than it is, than 92 or whatever. It was always low 90s. And it was way hotter than that out there. But of course they take the temperature inside a box that's in a shelter or of some sort, inside an igloo cooler with all sorts of different manner of ice to keep it cool. No, really, it's supposed to be in a box at the airport, and that's how they calculate the official temperature. But it's always lower, of course, than what it is for us, those of us that are out here in the elements on the streets. And of course the streets create the heat island effect, as it's been termed, with all the concrete and stuff. Because of course the concrete gets really, really hot, especially in the summer, and all that heat just oozes up to the cars above and people walking on the sidewalks, etc. This is Christie Lane. We'll pause here for a moment. And we got the green light here at Christie, so we'll continue westbound. But we always surmised growing up that it was much hotter than what they were saying, because they didn't want the tourists to be scared. You know, if you tell people that it's 100 degrees and, you know, 100% humidity, people aren't going to want to come down and spend all their money on the beach. And like in Orlando, which is like 50 miles from the coast, in the summertime, it is just miserable. Because you don't have the ocean breeze. And a lot of times, the heating of the day will create thunderstorms to potentially cool it off. But that doesn't happen necessarily every day. I tell you, some of the worst storms I've ever driven through were on Florida Turnpike in between Orlando and South Florida. They just seem to pop up out of nowhere and just, you can't see at all. Everyone like pulls over. This is Nellis Boulevard, a major north-south artery here on the east side of town. Travels all the way from Russell Road all the way up to Craig Road, just outside Nellis Air Force Base main gate. We'll pause it here for a moment. And we got the green light here. The turn signals here just do not last very long. Usually end up with a lot of people trying to run that turn light, the turn signal there, every time I've been through here. So still continuing westbound here on Stewart. But of course, this being a tourist town just like South Florida is, it would not surprise me if they were trying not to scare people from coming here, of course. And you'll have the Bright Line train to connect you, but those prices, it's like $139 each way or something like that. I mean, you might as well fly, in my opinion. I think it's $119 for basic economy or whatever, and then they have like $139 for what they consider to be first class or whatever. the fares on, like, there's so many airlines that fly between here and LA, and like multiple times a day. It's a ton of flights between here and the LA area, really, to try and siphon business away from the airlines. That's going to be a tough sell, I would think. And then you still get here and you still need a car, because the station, the train station, is slated to be down off of like Blue Diamond or something, I read, which is still considerable distance south of Mandalay Bay, which is the south end of the strip. So then you're gonna, you know, I'm sure the taxi companies probably had a role in that too. They're like, no, we'll go ahead and ferry you to your hotel. Taxi companies have a stranglehold on local politicians. A lot of people ask all the time, why doesn't Las Vegas have mass transit? Why don't they have like a light rail or something like that, especially from the airport to the strip? 2 words: taxi companies. It has been that way for eons. It was like that in South Florida too. The taxi moguls would contribute to the politicians' local campaigns to help get them elected, and then the politicians would thumbs down any proposal for any type of mass transit or anything like that. There was once talk of them doing like a light rail down Charleston Boulevard from end to end. That would have been cool, but I haven't seen any movement on that or anything like that, so. But that would have been cool for a lot of folks. And they wanted to do a light rail down Maryland Parkway, but instead the city decided, oh, well, we'll just go ahead and create an express bus. Instead of having a light rail, it'll be an express bus, because those are so wildly successful, of course. So. But at the end of the day, it's always about money. That's really what it all comes down to. This is Pecos/Pecos. Goes north-south here. Continuing westbound here on Stewart. And then over here on the right, coming up, we have the City of Las Vegas Detention Center, where if you party a little too hardy there on Fremont Street, you might find yourself with all the barbed wire and everything there. Probably not the way you want to end your Vegas vacation. I certainly wouldn't want to. And on Fremont especially, there's fights that break out down there all the time. It's just one of those reasons to keep your head on a swivel when you're down there. Don't lose your sitawa, I call it, situational awareness. Always maintain your situational awareness. Keep your wits about you, because you don't know what someone next to you might be thinking. Or they may not even be thinking, for that matter. This is 28th Street. We've done some video of our time up and down 28th Street, so feel free to check that out in our video library. And we come up here to the light at Eastern Avenue, another major north-south artery. It goes all the way down deep into Henderson, Anthem, and the Inspirata area. It circles around, actually. It makes a loop down there. And then it goes up here north of Craig and then just kind of fizzles out into like a warehouse district up there. Very rarely get that green light there. That's amazing. I'm astonished that light stayed green. And also north of, I think it's Owens, Eastern becomes Civic Center Drive. There in the city of North Las Vegas. Shout out to our members. Thank you so very, very much for being members. Lance, Charles, and Tobin, thank you so very, very much for being members here in our community. We really appreciate you. We could not do this without you guys. If you're new to the channel, please do like, follow, share, and subscribe. It really helps recommend us to other viewers. Come up here to Bruce Street. We've done a lot of video of our time up and down Bruce Street as well. It's not a major arterial, but it is minor, and it runs through in several places here. And I'm gonna get over because this guy's turning. And there is no dedicated turn lane here or turn signal. So here we're headed due west right here, but you can see the orientation of the road curves to the right. That's because all the roads here around the downtown area, they're all at this northwest, southeast type of orientation. I'm not sure when or why they ever decided to do that, but it's the way it is. In fact, when you look at the Circa from our Las Vegas Strip View live look-in that we do for the weather every evening, it's the Circa, you can tell, is at an angle. It's angled because you can see the marquee on the north side of it that faces the interstate 15 up there. Actually, I guess it faces both interstates because both of them are north of that. 7-Eleven over here on the right. Shout out to 7-Eleven, man. 162 7-Elevens here in the greater Las Vegas area, down by 4. It was 166, but they've started to close some up. You start closing up people's 7-Elevens and Walgreens and all that, things aren't going well. There is Vegas Brothers Shawarma food truck right there on the right. Unknown what they're selling. I'm not sure what a shawarma is, and I can't tell anything. The menu's way too small. And over here on the right, you've got a very well-lit market. Beer, wine, slots, groceries, cigarettes, everything. And speaking of the Circuit, there it is. On the left, as well as the rest of downtown Las Vegas and Fremont Street here. Across 9th Street. Brings us up here to 7th Street. Some of the buildings over here, like the one on the left, have murals, which are pretty cool to see and look at. This is 6th Street here. And that's going to lead us up here to Las Vegas Boulevard, the same Las Vegas Boulevard that the world-famous Las Vegas Strip is located upon. I'm going to go ahead and get over here. There's another 7-Eleven right there on our left. Flashing lights, because you can't have a business down here in downtown Las Vegas without some sort of flashing lights, right? We'll pause it here for a moment. And we got the turn signal here, so we'll go ahead and make this left. Darkness has fallen here in downtown Las Vegas. We've got Ogden Avenue right up here in front of us. And then the Ogden condos there on the left corner, the southeast corner here of Ogden and Las Vegas Boulevard. And we'll pause it once more. And I'm not sure if it's going to come out, but the traffic light on Ogden, the mast there on the right, you can see it bouncing around in the wind. That's a little unnerving, huh? But guys, we want to thank you all so very, very much for being here. Please do like, follow, share, and subscribe to us. It really helps recommend us to other viewers, and it absolutely helps recommend us to the almighty algorithm. The almighty algorithm is what really carries the weight of your voice to other folks. So please help us out there. And also check out our merch available. So we have Metro down here doing something. With transit security, it looks like. And this is the Fremont Street experience right here. And people crossing in front of us. There's a taco truck over here on the left. And the man on a horse up there, that sign used to be out in front of Hacienda. But Mandalay Bay took that spot, so it's been up here. They saved it, as they've done with a lot of these old motel signs and everything. And as always, remember here on the Vegas Don channel, it is the journey, where what happens in Vegas stays here on the Vegas Don channel on YouTube. We'll see you next time, folks. Thank you so much for being here.